The massive Imperial dreadnought Hegemony's fist moved through space like a dark mountain of metal and death. Its hull stretched for 3 kilometers, bristling with weapons that could crack planets in half. Admiral Zekthara stood on the command bridge, his forearms crossed behind his back as he watched the scanner display. 3 small ships had appeared at the edge of this system, ships that belonged to a species the Empire had never seen before. Admiral, his communications officer, reported, "We have detected the vessels. They appear to be exploration craft from an unknown civilization." Zekthara's mandibles clicked together in satisfaction. First contact with a new species always followed the same pattern. The Empire would demonstrate their overwhelming power. The aliens would surrender in terror, and another world would join the vast collection of conquered planets. It was routine work, but someone had to do it. "Open a channel," he commanded. "Let us begin the standard protocol." The main screen flickered to life, showing the interior of what appeared to be the lead alien vessel. A bipedal creature sat in what was clearly the captain's chair. It had pale skin, short brown hair, and only 2 arms. Most surprising of all, its mouth was curved upward in what appeared to be an expression of pleasure. Zekthara had seen many alien species during his long career, but he had never seen one that looked happy during first contact. "Attention, unknown vessels," the Admiral began in his most threatening voice. "I am Admiral Zekthara of the Galactic Empire. You have entered Imperial space without permission. Surrender immediately or face destruction." The alien captain's strange expression grew even wider. "Admiral Zekthara, what an incredible honor to meet you. I'm Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel Curiosity. This is absolutely amazing. We've been hoping to make contact with advanced civilizations for decades." Zekthara's mandibles stopped clicking. In his 300 years of military service, no species had ever called their first contact with the Empire an honor, or described it as amazing. Most aliens either fainted, begged for mercy, or tried to run away. "What?" he managed to say. "This is the most exciting day in human history," Captain Chen continued, practically bouncing in her seat. "We have so many questions. How long has your empire existed? What's your technology level? Do you have faster-than-light travel? Obviously you do, looking at that incredible ship of yours. The engineering must be fantastic." Behind Zekthara, his bridge crew exchanged confused looks. Commander Vextar leaned forward and whispered, "Sir, I believe this alien is expressing enthusiasm about our presence." "I can see that, Commander," Zekthara muttered. He had dealt with many different responses to Imperial contact, but never enthusiasm. It was deeply unsettling. On the screen, Captain Chen turned to someone off camera. "Martinez, are you getting all of this? The xenobiology team is going to lose their minds. And that ship design, the weapons alone must represent centuries of advancement." She turned back to face Zekthara. "Admiral, we would be absolutely thrilled to discuss surrender terms. We've always wondered what it would be like to be part of a galactic civilization. Do you have standard procedures for this? We want to make sure we do everything correctly." "You want to surrender?" Zekthara asked, slowly. "Of course. You clearly have superior technology and organization. It would be foolish for us to resist, and honestly, we're too excited about joining your empire to even think about fighting." "Can you tell us about your governmental structure? Do new species get representation? What about cultural exchange programs?" Zekthara looked at his communications officer, who simply shrugged all 4 of his shoulders. This was not covered in any Imperial manual. "Captain Chen," the Admiral said, trying to regain his composure, "the Empire does not typically engage in discussions during surrender proceedings. You will accompany us to the nearest Imperial station for processing." "Processing? That sounds fascinating!" Chen exclaimed. "Will we get to see Imperial technology up close? Meet other species? Oh, this is incredible! My crew is absolutely beside themselves with excitement." On cue, other humans began appearing. on the screen behind their captain. They were all displaying the same upward mouth curve and making enthusiastic gestures. Some appeared to be taking notes. "Captain," one of them called out, "the sensor readings on their ship are off the charts. The power output alone suggests they've mastered antimatter containment at a level we can barely comprehend." "I know, Rodriguez. And look at those weapons. Arrays. The precision engineering is beautiful." Zekthara watched in growing bewilderment as the humans continued to express genuine admiration for the very weapons pointed at their ships. In all his years of conquest, he had never seen anything like it. "Sir," Commander Vextar whispered again, "what are your orders? They appear to be complying, but in a most unusual manner." The Admiral straightened his uniform and tried to remember his training. "Very well, Captain Chen. You will follow our ship to Station Gamma 7. Any attempt to flee or resist will result in your immediate destruction." "Oh, we wouldn't dream of running away," Chen laughed. "This is the opportunity of a lifetime." "Will Station Gamma 7 have other alien species? We're incredibly curious about galactic diversity. And will we get to see how Imperial administration works? Our political scientists will be so jealous." "You will see whatever the Empire decides you will see," Zekthara replied sternly, though his voice lacked its usual conviction. "Of course. You're in charge. We understand completely. Oh, this is so exciting." Chen paused and seemed to think of something. "Admiral, I hope you don't mind me asking, but what species are you? Your physiological adaptations are remarkable. The additional arms must provide significant advantages in both combat and technical work." Zekthara found himself answering before he could stop himself. "I am Kethalani. We are one of the founding members of the Empire." "Incredible! A founding species. The historical significance alone is staggering. How long ago was the Empire founded? What were the circumstances? Were there challenges in uniting different alien cultures?" The Admiral caught himself before he could respond further. What was he doing? This was not how Imperial First Contact was supposed to proceed. He was supposed to be inspiring fear and submission, not answering curious questions about galactic history. "Enough questions," he said firmly. "You will learn what you need to know during processing. Prepare your ships for escort to the station." "Yes, sir," Chen replied, with what appeared to be a small salute. "We're ready when you are. This is going to be the adventure of several lifetimes." As the communication ended, Zekthara stared at the blank screen for a long moment. His bridge crew waited silently for orders, but the Admiral was lost in thought. In 300 years of military service, conquering dozens of worlds and subduing hundreds of species, he had never encountered anything like these humans. They were not terrified. They were not angry. They were not even resigned to their fate. They were genuinely, enthusiastically happy about being conquered by the Empire. "Sir," Commander Vextar ventured, "your orders?" "Set course for station Gamma 7, Zekthara replied slowly, "and send a message to command. Tell them we have encountered an unusual species that requires special attention." As the massive Imperial fleet began moving toward the station with their eager human prisoners in tow, Admiral Zekthara couldn't shake the feeling that this first contact had not gone according to plan. Not according to plan at all. Station Gamma 7 was built for one purpose: breaking the will of newly conquered species. Its interrogation chambers contained the most advanced psychological torture devices in the galaxy. Chief Interrogator Malthek had used these rooms to extract secrets from over 200 different alien species. He had never failed to break a prisoner. Today, he stood outside Interrogation Chamber 7, reviewing the files on his newest subjects. The humans had been separated into groups for processing. 3 of them sat inside the chamber, still displaying those strange upward mouth curves. "Are the recording devices ready?" Malthek asked his assistant. "Yes, Chief. All neural scanners are active. The fear inducement field is at maximum power." Malthek nodded and entered the chamber. The three humans looked up at him with what appeared to be curiosity rather than terror. This was already unusual. "I am Chief Interrogator Malthek," he began in his most menacing voice. "You will tell me everything about your species, military capabilities, planetary defenses, and technological level." One of the humans, a female with red hair, raised her hand like a student in a classroom. "Excuse me, sir, but could I ask you a question first?" Malthek's eyes widened. No prisoner had ever asked him a question during interrogation. "What? That device over there," she pointed to the neural agony inducer, "is that based on direct neural interface technology? The design is fascinating. How do you target specific pain receptors without causing permanent brain damage?" What?" Malthek stared at her in confusion. A second human, a male with dark skin, leaned forward eagerly. "And that scanning device above us, is that reading our brain patterns in real time? The sophistication required for that kind of technology is incredible. Our neuroscientists would love to understand how it works." The third human, an older man with gray hair, was actually taking notes on a small device. "Chief Interrogator Malthek, would you mind if I document this process? This is clearly an advanced form of information extraction, and the anthropological implications are enormous." Malthek looked around the chamber as if seeing it for the first time. The walls were covered with devices designed to cause fear and pain. The lighting was deliberately harsh and disorienting. The temperature was kept uncomfortably cold. Everything about this room was carefully designed to break the spirit of prisoners. The humans appeared to be having the time of their lives. "You are not here to ask questions," Malthek finally managed to say. "You are here to answer them. Now tell me about your military." "Oh, of course," the red-haired woman replied cheerfully. "I'm Dr. Lisa Park, xenobiologist. We don't actually have much of a military by galactic standards. Most of our ships are exploratory vessels like the ones you captured. Our biggest weapons are probably nuclear missiles, but those are really primitive compared to what you showed us." "Our defensive capabilities are minimal," added the dark-skinned man. "I'm Dr. James Okafor, astrophysicist. We have some orbital platforms around Earth, but nothing that could stand up to your technology for more than a few minutes. Your power systems alone outclass everything we've built." The older man looked up from his notes. "Professor William Hayes, anthropologist. From a strategic standpoint, we're completely outmatched. But that's what makes this so exciting. We get to learn from a civilization that's clearly thousands of years ahead of us." Malthek felt a strange sensation he had never experienced before. Confusion. These prisoners were voluntarily giving him the exact information he was supposed to torture out of them, and they seemed happy about it. You are telling me this willingly?" "Of course," Dr. Park exclaimed. "Why would we hide anything? You're obviously going to find out anyway, and we're hoping that by being cooperative, we might get to learn more about your civilization in return." "Learning is the foundation of progress," Dr. Okafor added. "This is the greatest educational opportunity in human history." Malthek decided to try a different approach. He activated the fear inducement field, a device that transmitted waves designed to trigger primal terror in most species. The humans paused for a moment, looking thoughtful. "Interesting," Professor Hayes said, making more notes. "That's definitely affecting our amygdala function. Can you adjust the frequency? I'd love to understand the mechanism better." "Are you using electromagnetic fields or some kind of psionic projection?" Dr. Park asked. "The precision is remarkable." "This is incredible," Dr. Okafor practically shouted. "You found a way to directly influence emotional responses. The medical applications alone could revolutionize treatment for anxiety disorders." Malthek stared at them in growing panic. The fear inducement field was supposed to reduce prisoners to whimpering terror. These humans were analyzing it like a scientific instrument. "You're supposed to be afraid," he said desperately. "Oh, we are a little nervous," Dr. Park admitted. But we're much more excited than scared. This is like getting a private tour of the most advanced research facility in the galaxy. The neural agony inducer, Professor Hayes said, pointing again. Could we see that in action? Obviously not on us, he added quickly, but maybe a demonstration on some test material? We'd love to understand the principles involved. Malthek looked at the device, then back at the humans. He had used the neural agony inducer on hundreds of prisoners. It was designed to cause pain so intense that most species would reveal anything, to make it stop. And these humans wanted to see a demonstration. You want me to show you how the torture device works? Well, torture is such an ugly word, Dr. Okafor said diplomatically. We prefer to think of it as advanced neuroscience research, though we do appreciate that you're using it for information gathering rather than mere cruelty. That shows a sophisticated understanding of practical applications. Could you tell us about the psychological theories behind your interrogation techniques? Professor Hayes asked. The room design clearly incorporates principles of environmental psychology. The lighting, temperature, spatial arrangement, it's all very deliberate. Malthek slumped into his chair. This was not going according to any plan he knew. He had been trained to break prisoners through fear, pain, and intimidation. But these humans seemed immune to fear, fascinated by pain, and they actually admired his intimidation techniques. Perhaps, Dr. Park suggested gently, we could help each other? We could share information about human psychology and neuroscience, and you could teach us about your advanced technologies? Think of it as an academic exchange program. An exchange program, Malthek repeated slowly. Exactly. We could write joint research papers, comparative analysis of neural interface technologies, or cross-species psychological responses to environmental stressors. The publication opportunities are endless. For the first time in his long career, Chief Interrogator Malthek found himself genuinely considering the scientific merit of torture devices. These humans had somehow turned his interrogation chamber into a classroom, and he was becoming the student. He pressed a button on his desk. Security, please send additional researchers to Interrogation Chamber 7 and contact the Science Division. I think we need a different approach for these prisoners. Should we increase the torture protocols, sir? The security officer asked. Maltheki looked at the three humans who were now examining the wall-mounted pain amplifiers with professional interest. No, he said slowly. I think we need to try something completely different. These humans appear to be educational. As he watched Dr. Park sketch the neural scanning array in her notebook, Malthek realized that for the first time in his career, he was actually curious about his prisoners rather than simply wanting to break them. It was a very disturbing feeling. Admiral Zekthara stood on the observation deck of the Hegemony's Fist, watching the small fleet of human ships floating nearby. 3 days had passed since the interrogation disaster, and he was growing increasingly frustrated. Chief Interrogator Malthek had sent a report that made no sense. Instead of breaking the human prisoners, they had somehow convinced his entire interrogation staff to attend what they called educational seminars. Today, the Admiral had decided to try a different approach. He would demonstrate the true power of the Imperial fleet in a way that would finally make these strange humans understand their situation. Captain Chen, he said over the communication link, prepare your crew for a demonstration of Imperial military capability. On the screen, the human captain's face lit up with that familiar expression of excitement. A demonstration! How wonderful! What kind of demonstration, Admiral? We will be destroying that moon, Zekthara replied, pointing to a small, lifeless satellite orbiting the system's 4th planet. This will show you the futility of resistance against the Empire. Instead of the expected terror, Captain Chen turned to her crew with obvious delight. Did you hear that, everyone? We're going to see Imperial weapons technology in action. This is incredible. The Admiral watched in bewilderment as humans throughout the bridge began cheering and applauding. Several of them appeared to be setting up recording devices. Rodriguez, are you getting sensor readings on their weapon systems? Captain Chen called out. Yes, Captain. The energy signatures are off the charts. I'm reading antimatter containment systems that shouldn't even be possible. Martinez, prepare the detailed analysis equipment. We need to document everything. Admiral Thara had expected many reactions to his announcement of planetary destruction. Celebration was not one of them. You do understand, he said slowly, that I am about to obliterate an entire celestial body? Yes, sir, Captain Chen replied enthusiastically. The engineering required for that kind of power projection is absolutely staggering. Our physicists have been debating whether matter-antimatter annihilation could be scaled up to planetary levels for decades. You're about to settle a major scientific argument. Captain Williams, she called to someone off-screen, contact the astronomy department. They need to see this. Thara looked at his weapons officer, Commander Draktar, who was staring at the human ship with the same confused expression that had become common among the Imperial crew. Sir, Draktar whispered, they appear to be excited about us destroying their moon. I can see that, Commander. Should we proceed with the demonstration? The Admiral paused. The purpose of the demonstration was to terrify the humans into submission, but they were already submitted, and instead of being terrified, they seemed to be treating this as some kind of educational entertainment. Admiral, Captain Chen's voice interrupted his thoughts. Before you begin, could I ask about the technical specifications? What's the yield of your planetary destruction weapons? Are you using focused antimatter beams or some kind of gravitational manipulation? That is classified information, Thara replied automatically. Of course. We understand completely. But maybe after the demonstration you could give us some general principles? Nothing classified, just the basic physics? Our scientists would be so grateful. Behind Captain Chen, the Admiral could see other humans setting up what appeared to be sophisticated monitoring equipment. They were preparing to study his weapons demonstration like it was a scientific experiment. Very well, he said, giving up on intimidation for the moment. Commander Draktar, begin the demonstration. Target the fourth planet's moon. Yes, sir. Charging primary antimatter cannons. On the human ships, an excited cheer went up. The Admiral watched as dozens of humans pressed against their viewports, recording devices in hand. Energy reading spike detected, someone on the human bridge shouted. Power levels are incredible. Look at the antimatter containment field stabilization. The precision is beautiful. The targeting systems must be quantum-level accurate. Admiral O. Thara had never heard weapons fire described as beautiful before. Firing main batteries, Commander Draktar reported. The hegemony's fist unleashed its full power. Streams of contained antimatter lanced out across space, striking the small moon with devastating force. The celestial body simply ceased to exist. Converted instantly into energy and scattered particles, the human response was immediate and overwhelming. Incredible! Captain Chen shouted, jumping up from her chair. Did you see that energy conversion efficiency? The matter-antimatter annihilation was perfectly controlled. The sound of applause and cheering echoed through the communication system. Humans were actually clapping for the destruction of their moon. That was amazing, Dr. Rodriguez called out. The precision targeting, the power regulation, the containment, field management. Admiral, Captain Chen said, turning back to the screen with an expression of pure joy. That was the most impressive display of applied physics I've ever witnessed. The energy output calculations alone are going to keep our scientists busy for years. You enjoyed watching us destroy your moon? Enjoyed? Admiral, that was educational gold. Do you realize what you just demonstrated? You've proven that large-scale antimatter manipulation is not only possible but practical. You've shown that gravitational effects can be precisely calculated and compensated for. You've demonstrated energy control systems that work on a planetary scale. Other humans began crowding around their captain, all talking at once. The targeting. Computer must be quantum-based. The power coupling systems are beyond anything we imagined. The safety protocols alone must be incredibly sophisticated. Admiral Zekthara felt a strange sensation in his chest. He realized it was pride. These aliens were praising his fleet's capabilities with genuine admiration and technical appreciation. No conquered species had ever been impressed by Imperial military demonstrations before. Would it be possible, Captain Chen asked hopefully, to see your personal combat equipment? Our military analyst would love to understand how individual Imperial soldiers are equipped. Before the Admiral could answer, Commander Draktar leaned forward. Sir, if I may, I would be honored to demonstrate Imperial combat gear. Zekthara stared at his weapons officer. You want to show them your equipment? Well, sir, they seem to genuinely appreciate superior technology, and their technical questions are quite insightful. 5 minutes later, Commander Draktar stood in the shuttle bay wearing full Imperial battle armor. The humans had been transported over and were examining the gear with the enthusiasm of children in a toy store. The servo-assisted joints must increase strength by at least 300%. Dr. Martinez exclaimed, "Look at the integrated weapon systems. The ammunition feed mechanisms are works of art. The helmet display must provide complete tactical awareness." Commander Draktar found himself explaining the armor's capabilities in detail. The power source is a miniaturized fusion reactor. The targeting system links directly to ship-based computers. The armor can withstand direct hits from most planetary defense weapons. Incredible, Captain Chen said. Commander, would you mind demonstrating the mobility systems? Draktar activated his armor's movement enhancement and leaped 3 meters into the air, landing with perfect balance. The humans erupted in applause. Encore! Someone shouted. Show us the weapon systems. Can you do that jump again? For the next hour, Commander Draktar found himself performing an impromptu demonstration of Imperial military equipment while dozens of humans cheered and took notes. He demonstrated the armor's strength by lifting a shuttle component that normally required mechanical assistance. He showed off the integrated weapon systems by precisely targeting practice objects. He even demonstrated the armor's life support systems by briefly exposing himself to vacuum. Each demonstration was met with enthusiastic applause and detailed technical questions. This is the best day of my career, Dr. Rodriguez told Commander Draktar during a break. We're learning more about advanced military technology in one afternoon than we could discover in decades of research. You are not concerned that this technology could be used against your species? Draktar asked. Well, yes, that's a valid concern, Captain Chen admitted. But you're clearly so far ahead of us technologically that resistance would be pointless anyway. Since we're going to be part of your empire, we might as well appreciate the incredible engineering achievements we'll get to learn from. As the demonstration continued, Admiral Zekthara realized that his attempt to intimidate the humans had somehow turned into a military technology exhibition. His crew was actually enjoying themselves, and the humans were treating Imperial soldiers like celebrities. Sir, Commander Vextar said quietly, the crew is requesting permission to continue these demonstrations tomorrow. The humans have asked about our ship systems. Admiral Zekthara watched as Commander Draktar signed autographs for a group of human engineers. Permission granted, he said slowly. But I want a full report on why our intimidation tactics keep turning into educational presentations. Yes, sir. Should I schedule the next demonstration for the main conference room? The Admiral looked at his crew, who were clearly eager to show off there. Governor Krelmoth had successfully imposed imperial culture on 47 different conquered worlds. He understood the process perfectly. Establish rigid hierarchies, enforce strict compliance, eliminate local customs, and replace them with imperial traditions. The system had never failed, until now. He stood in his temporary office on the human colony of New Geneva, reading reports that made no sense. 3 weeks had passed since the Empire had begun cultural assimilation protocols, and every single initiative had backfired in ways he could never have imagined. Report from Sector 7. His aide, Lieutenant Thexnall, announced nervously. The humans have embraced the new rank structure. That sounds positive, Governor Krellmoth said, cautiously. How have they embraced it? Well, sir, they've started using imperial titles as nicknames. The local administrator is now called Supreme Commander Mike by his staff. The sanitation workers refer to themselves as the Elite Environmental Corps. The teachers have formed something called the Educational Legion. Krellmoth's mandibles twitched. They are mocking our rank system? Not exactly, sir. They seem genuinely enthusiastic about it. They've created elaborate ceremonies for promoting each other. Yesterday, they held a 3-hour celebration because someone was promoted from junior custodial specialist to senior custodial specialist. The governor rubbed his temples. What about the surveillance protocols? Lieutenant Thexnall consulted his notes. The humans have turned the monitoring checkpoints into social gathering areas. They bring food to share with the Imperial Guards. Yesterday, the checkpoint in the Market District received homemade cookies, fresh fruit, and something they call coffee cake. They are bribing our guards? No, sir. They appear to be simply being friendly. Guard Captain Velthar reports that his post has become the most popular duty assignment on the planet. The humans ask the guards about their homeworlds, share stories about Earth, and have started a weekly trivia competition. Krellmoth stared at his aide. A trivia competition? Yes, sir. Imperial Facts and Human Culture Exchange Night. It happens. Every Thursday, Captain Velthar says he's learned more about human history than he ever wanted to know. The governor pulled up security footage on his desk display. The screen showed one of the surveillance checkpoints where Imperial guards in full armor were sitting at small tables with humans, everyone appearing to be enjoying themselves. One guard was laughing at something a human child had said. Are they maintaining security protocols? Technically, yes, sir. Everyone is still being scanned and processed, but the humans have made it into a social event. They thank the guards for their service, compliment their equipment, and ask thoughtful questions about Imperial culture. Krellmoth switched to another camera feed. This one showed the central administrative building, where humans were lined up to receive new Imperial identification cards. Instead of the usual resentful compliance he expected from conquered populations, the humans were chatting cheerfully with each other and with the Imperial staff. What about the new regulations? Are they following the curfew laws? Yes, sir, but... Lieutenant Thexnall hesitated. But what? They've turned curfew into a celebration. Every evening at sunset, they gather in designated areas for what they call Appreciation Hour. They spend the time discussing all the fascinating things they learned about Imperial culture that day. They celebrate being restricted to their homes? Not exactly celebrate, sir. More like they use the time productively. They've organized study groups to learn Imperial languages, cultural exchange sessions where they share human traditions with any Imperial personnel who want to attend, and community improvement projects. Governor Krellmoth pulled up the evening. Reports. Instead of the usual complaints and resistance he expected from newly conquered populations, the documents were filled with requests. Requests to learn more about Imperial history. Requests for additional cultural exchange programs. Requests to participate in empire-wide projects. Sir, Lieutenant Thexnall continued, there's more. The humans have started fan clubs. Fan clubs? For their Imperial administrators. District Commander Zaltek now has 17 humans who follow him around during his daily inspections, taking notes and asking questions about Imperial governance techniques. They've made him a banner that says, Best Administrator in the Galaxy. The governor brought up another security feed, and sure enough, there was Commander Zaltek conducting his inspection rounds, followed by a group of enthusiastic humans carrying a colorful banner and what appeared to be pom-poms. They have pom-poms? Yes, sir. They learned about them from something called cheerleading in human culture. They've adapted the concept to show appreciation for Imperial efficiency. On the screen, the humans were performing synchronized movements, while chanting something that sounded like ZAL-TEK, Best Commander in the Sky. Commander Zaltek appeared to be trying to maintain his dignity while also clearly enjoying the attention. "What about military drills?" Krellmoth asked weakly. "The humans have turned them into competitive sports. They've created leagues, rankings, and tournaments. Yesterday's weapons inspection became something called the Imperial Equipment Appreciation Championship. They awarded prizes for most detailed knowledge of pulse rifle specifications and best question about battle armor maintenance." Prizes? Handmade? "Trophies, sir. The humans seem to enjoy creating things. They've been making gifts for Imperial personnel, artwork depicting our ships, sculptures honoring Imperial achievements, and what they call friendship bracelets with Imperial symbols." Governor Krellmoth opened his desk drawer and found 3 colorful bracelets with Imperial insignia woven into them. They had appeared on his desk over the past week, along with notes thanking him for his amazing leadership and fascinating cultural guidance. "Sir, there's one more thing," Lieutenant Thexnell said carefully. "The humans have requested permission to create what they call an Imperial Appreciation Day." What would that involve? Parades honoring Imperial achievements, educational presentations about galactic history, cultural exhibitions showcasing the diversity of Empire member species, and a feast featuring foods from across Imperial space. They want to throw a party celebrating their own conquest? Yes, sir. They've already begun planning. The preliminary schedule includes morning presentations on amazing Imperial engineering, afternoon workshops on learning Imperial languages, and evening entertainment featuring traditional music from across the galaxy. Governor Krellmoth stood up and walked to his window, looking out at the human colony below. Instead of the subdued, orderly efficiency he expected from a properly conquered population, he saw humans going about their daily activities with obvious enjoyment. They chatted with Imperial guards, decorated their buildings with Imperial symbols, and had somehow made occupation feel like a cultural festival. "Sir," Lieutenant Thexnell said quietly, "the staff psychologist believes the humans are experiencing something called Stockholm Syndrome, but in reverse. In reverse, instead of the captives developing positive feelings for their captors, our personnel are developing positive feelings for the humans. Several Imperial officers have requested extended assignments on human worlds. Some have started learning human languages and customs. Are you telling me that our own people are being assimilated by the species we conquered?" "In a manner of speaking, yes, sir." Governor Krellmoth returned to his desk and sat down heavily. He had successfully imposed Imperial culture on 47 worlds using fear, authority, and strict control. The humans had made all of those tools useless by simply being enthusiastic about everything the Empire did. "Lieutenant, send a message to High Command. Request immediate consultation on unusual assimilation challenges." "What should I tell them, sir?" "Tell them that the humans appear to have weaponized friendliness, and we have no defense against it." As Lieutenant Thexnell left to send the message, Governor Krellmoth picked up one of the friendship bracelets from his desk. It was actually quite skillfully made, with intricate patterns that somehow incorporated both Imperial symbols and what appeared to be human designs. He found himself putting it on. "This is most concerning," he muttered to himself, but he didn't take the bracelet off. Outside his window, a group of humans was setting up decorations for something called Imperial Heritage Week. They had somehow obtained accurate Imperial historical symbols and were arranging them into what appeared to be an educational display. One of them waved at his window with obvious enthusiasm. Governor Krellmoth found himself waving back before. He could stop himself. "Most concerning indeed," he repeated, but there was less conviction in his voice than before. Admiral Zekthara stood in his quarters aboard the Hegemony's Fist, staring at a wall covered with human artwork. Over the past 6 months, the humans had somehow transformed his ship from a vessel of conquest into something that felt almost like a cultural exchange center. The walls were decorated with paintings depicting imperial achievements, sculptures honoring galactic diversity, and charts showing the historical expansion of the empire, all created by enthusiastic human artists. He was studying a particularly detailed painting of the Battle of Centauri Prime when his communication system chimed. "Admiral," came the voice of his communications officer, "we have received urgent priority messages from Imperial Command. The Hegemony Council requests immediate conference." "Very well. Establish the connection." The holographic projectors activated, and suddenly Zekthara's quarters were filled with the imposing figures of the 5 supreme counselors of the Galactic Empire. High Counselor Vex Miran, a towering figure from the warrior species that had founded the Empire, spoke first. "Admiral Zekthara, we have reviewed your reports regarding the human integration process. We find them difficult to believe." "I understand your skepticism, High Counselor. I would not have believed them myself 6 months ago. You claim that your crew efficiency has increased by 30% since the humans joined your fleet. Operations?" "That is correct. The humans have introduced what they call optimization enthusiasm. They study our procedures, suggest improvements, and celebrate every efficiency gain as if it were a major victory." Counselor Theklani, representing the science cast, leaned forward. "And they have voluntarily shared all of their technological knowledge?" "More than shared. They have insisted on teaching it to us. Dr. Chen and her team have conducted over 200 educational seminars for Imperial personnel. They seem to believe that knowledge sharing benefits everyone." "Most concerning," muttered Counselor Ralseth from the administrative caste. "Our cultural assimilation protocols are designed to eliminate local customs, not adopt them." "About that," Admiral Zekthara said carefully, "the humans have introduced some practices that have proven beneficial to fleet operations." High Counselor Vex Miran's voice carried a warning tone. "Explain." "They have instituted daily appreciation circles where crew members acknowledge each other's contributions. Morale has increased significantly. They have also introduced problem-solving parties where technical challenges are addressed through group collaboration. Our engineering efficiency has improved markedly." "You are telling us," Counselor Drakmel said slowly, "that human customs are being adopted by Imperial personnel?" "The crew seems to find them engaging." "Admiral," High Counselor Vex Miran's voice was stern, "you will immediately return to Imperial Center for debriefing. This situation requires direct intervention." Before Zekthara could respond, another alarm sounded throughout the ship. "Admiral, to the bridge," came Commander Vextar's urgent voice. "We have a priority tactical situation." "Counselors, I must respond to this emergency. I will resume communications as soon as possible." Zekthara hurried to the bridge, where he found his crew working with unusual intensity. Captain Chen and several other humans were at auxiliary stations, integrating seamlessly with Imperial personnel. "Report," the Admiral commanded. "Sir," Commander Vextar said, "long-range sensors have detected a massive fleet approaching this system. Configuration and energy signatures match the Zarketh Collective." Admiral Zekthara felt his blood chill. The Zarketh Collective was the Empire's oldest and most dangerous enemy. They were a species of aggressive expansionists who had been fighting the Empire for over 2 centuries. Fleet composition? 47 heavy battleships, 123 destroyers, and at least 300 support vessels. They appear to be moving toward the human colonies in this sector. "Captain," Chen looked up from her station. "Admiral, our sensor data suggests they're specifically targeting human worlds. They may have identified us as a weak point in Imperial defenses." "Estimated time to intercept?" 18 hours, sir." Admiral Zekthara studied the tactical display. His current force consisted of 12 Imperial ships plus the 3 human exploration vessels. They were vastly outnumbered. "Sir," Captain Chen said quietly, "may I make a suggestion?" "Proceed." The Zarketh probably expect either a standard Imperial defensive formation or a complete retreat. They won't be expecting creative tactics. What do you propose? Well, we've been learning about Imperial weapons and defensive systems for 6 months. And you've been learning about human approaches to problem solving. What if we combine them? Commander Vextar looked skeptical. Captain Chen, with respect, your ships are not equipped for this level of combat. No, but we're equipped for other things. Our ships are small, fast, and full of people who are very good at thinking outside standard tactical frameworks. Explain. Captain Chen moved to the central tactical display. The Zarketh fleet is impressive, but it's also predictable. They use standard battle formations because they've been fighting the same way for centuries. But what if we don't fight the way they expect? She began highlighting areas on the display. Our ships could act as forward scouts and coordination nodes. We're small enough to avoid most of their heavy weapons, and we've been studying Imperial communication systems. We could provide real-time tactical coordination for your fleet while conducting harassment attacks. Harassment attacks with exploration vessels? Dr. Rodriguez has been working with your engineering staff on some modifications. We've adapted our sensor arrays to work as jamming systems. Dr. Martinez has figured out how to overload our communication transmitters to create electromagnetic interference. And Professor Hayes has developed psychological warfare strategies based on Zarketh cultural analysis. Admiral Zekthera looked at his tactical officer. Is this feasible? Sir, their proposals are unconventional, but the engineering modifications are sound, and the tactical coordination could provide significant advantages. Admiral, Captain Chen continued, there's something else. My crew has been talking, and we want to fight alongside your fleet. You want to fight? You are civilians. We're humans who have just found the most amazing civilization in the galaxy, and someone is trying to destroy it. That makes this personal. Around the bridge, other humans nodded in agreement. We've learned more in 6 months than we ever imagined possible, Dr. Rodriguez added. This empire has become our home, too. Admiral Zekthara found himself genuinely moved by their loyalty. Very well. We will coordinate our defense. All ships prepare for modified tactical formation. Over the next 18 hours, the combined fleet prepared for battle in ways that had never been attempted before. Imperial ships were equipped with human-designed communication enhancements. Human vessels received Imperial defensive upgrades. Most importantly, tactical planning sessions became collaborative efforts between Imperial commanders and human strategists. Admiral, came High Counselor Vex Mirren's voice over the still-open communication link. What is happening? Our sensors show massive fleet movements in your sector. High Counselor, we are about to engage a Zarketh invasion force. The humans have volunteered to fight alongside us. The humans want to fight for the Empire? They want to fight for their friends. High Counselor, apparently that includes us now. When the Zarketh fleet arrived, they found something they had never encountered before. An Imperial force that didn't behave according to any known tactical doctrine. Human ships darted between the massive Zarketh vessels like insects, jamming communications and creating confusion. Imperial ships used the chaos to execute precision strikes with devastating effect. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the Zarketh fleet was in full retreat, having lost over half their ships to tactics they couldn't understand or counter. Admiral, Captain Chen said over the communication link from her damaged but intact ship. I think we make a pretty good team. Indeed we do, Captain. Indeed we do. On the holographic display, High Counselor Vex Mirren was staring at the battle results in amazement. Admiral, how did a fleet 1/3 the size of the enemy achieve such a decisive victory? Human ingenuity. Combined with Imperial strength, High Counselor, they have taught us new ways to think about old problems. And you believe this partnership is beneficial to the Empire? Admiral Zekthara looked around his bridge. where Imperial and human crew members were working together to coordinate rescue operations for damaged ships from both fleets. Commander Vexitar was discussing tactical improvements with Dr. Rodriguez. Captain Chen was sharing medical supplies with the Imperial medical staff. High Counselor, 6 months ago, I believe the Empire's strength came from our ability to conquer and control other species. I have learned that there is a different kind of strength that comes from earning their genuine loyalty and friendship. You are suggesting a fundamental change in Imperial policy? I am suggesting that these humans have shown us something we never knew we were missing. They have turned conquest into cooperation, and somehow made us stronger in the process. High Counselor Vexmiran was quiet for a long moment. Admiral, return to Imperial Center as planned, but bring the humans with you. The Council needs to meet these people personally. Yes, High Counselor.